Dynamic GT League. La Coppa. Dell'Asino. Rampante. Dynamic GT League. La Coppa dell'Asino Rampante.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's La Coppa Dell'Asino Rampante for race 7 from the Nurburgring. Take a quick look at the current standings. SGP leading the way, got a 6-point gap over Steve F1 and 11-point gap over Demon R. Jason sits in 4th place, 5 ahead of Fluffy and 7 ahead of Dave the Harp. Conrod's in 7th place, he's a few ahead of Rich Blues, no surprise, 8th place for him. Bunsel 3 behind him in 9th. Then we've got Twilight and SRI tied for 10th on 31 points each. Jimmy in 12th place on 30 points, 1 ahead of Art Pal in 13th. Mitch and Formula Gary tied for 14th on 25 points. Then we've got Hay in 16th on 21 and Tyler 17th on 10. We've got a few drivers unable to race today, with Mitch, Art Pal and Jimmy unable to make it. Tyler also unable to reserve. So let's take a look at the results of qualifying then for round 7. And Steve F1 takes pole position with a 159.369, joined on the front row again by Demon R, 1.5 tenths behind. Row 2 is Jason in 3rd place with SGP in 4th, and on row 3 we've got Fluffy Planet in line up alongside Conrad in 6th. Row 4, it's Dave the Harp, 1.1 off Steve F1 and only just ahead of SRI in 8th place. Twilight is on row 5 alongside Formula Gary, while on row 6 we've got Bunsel, who lines up alongside Hay, who didn't set a time, and then Rich Blues is 13th. Also did not set a time. As I mentioned, Jimmy, Art Pal and Mitch unable to race. Okay, it's just about time to find out what's going to happen at the Nurburgring, so let's hand over to our commentators. So here we go then, from the Nurburgring, and we've got Raymond and his ring with us here today. How are you, Ray?
I'm fine.
Good, because the race is about to get underway, and away they go, and it looks like a decent start from Rich Blues on the pack cam, and Demon R's got to run on Steve F1 down towards turn 1.
Yep, Demon R's got ahead of Steve F1, SGP trying to slide in there, but no room from him, and the guys behind doing well to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, Jason and Connor going side by side, Fluffy trying to stick his nose in there as well as on the pack cam. Oh, Twilight's just been given a little bit of a rear ending. I'm not exactly sure who that was from. It may have been Rich, I'm not sure. Okay, up at the front we've got David R, Steve F1 right on him, SGP. So the 3 title contenders at the moment up at the front at the start of the race. Conrad doing well in 4th. Let's see if we can open up a gap to Jason in 5th, and then we've got Fluffy, Dave the Harp and SRI in the top 8 as they make their way towards a beautiful corner, right? But probably one that everybody hates because people attack them in there.
Yeah, is it the Goodyear curve, or is that no?
It could be. I forgot to put my track map up myself, so yep. As they make their way through the Schumacher S's. See, I know the Schumacher S's, no problem. Also, there's a Mercedes curve, I think, which is near the Mercedes stand. Oh, Dave the Art's got a bit of a run on Fluffy, but Connor has really closed in on the... Oh, no, he hasn't! Oh, I was going to say, he really closed in on the back of SGP, which he had, but then he dipped the wheel on the grass and nearly completely spun it. He did well to save that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, these cars are easy once you lose a grip to spin them, but you've done great. As we see Steve F1, is he going to line them Demon R up? No, it looks like SGP's closer.
He is, Dave the Harp and Conrad.
Somebody's closer.
Oh god. That's why you're doing commentary this week, even though you're not feeling well. Somebody's closer. Oh, that's alright, making a move on Twilight on the pack cam. But yeah, I was going to say Dave the Harp and Fluffy, I think it was, were getting very close through the final chicane. And looking at the pack cam, good luck, SRI. You've got absolutely everybody behind you. Steve F1 not close enough to attack Demon R into turn 1. Well, I'm just wondering, Ray. I mean, we're looking at the pack cam. You've got to keep looking at it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, you got to keep an eye on that pack cam. So much kicks off in there.
Oh,
Not in a bad way, but
well, sometimes SGP. Oh, Jason, there's a track over there. I was going to say, Connor just ran a little bit wide as well. Yeah, do you know anything about tyres around here, Ray?
Tyres? Nah, other than that, they're on the car.
Oh, right, okay, cool. They're made of rubber, but it's not rubber.
There's different components in them, isn't there? There's rubber, there's metal for the canvas, and
Anything else you want to make up? Vibranium, unobtainium. Anyway.
Have you got an arsenic?
Oh Jesus! Arsenic or arsenic? Both.
Arsenic.
Connor's gone a little bit wide at the Schumacher S's. Should mention as well that Conrad hasn't been able to race for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and he's coming to this one with very little practice. So, not to say that I would expect to see him going off, but there are certain quirks of this track, or as Gary's tested the limits, certain quirks of this track that if you've not had the practice, you may struggle a little bit with, like the final chicane here as it's getting very busy. Ooh!
In the background there.
Just see there as well, Conrad, struggled a little bit with the chicane. I don't know if he was tagged into it or not, but was struggling. Also on the pad cam now, looking at the leader, Demon Eyes, open up a gap to Steve F1, and SGP is right on him as we're looking at Twilight on the main camera, right in the thick of the action, or as he tries to make a move on Conrad, but that's alright, trying to make a move on him. Gary there as well, and as they make their way to, that's alright. Oh,
He's gone.
He went in hard.
To infinity and beyond.
Hey, you know what? There's a proper Buzz Lightyear film coming out. There's a film coming out about Buzz Lightyear that is the toy is made from. I must admit, I'm looking forward to that film.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that the advertisement of it. I've not seen the film.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks good. I liked all the Toy Stories. They were good.
I liked the first couple. I kind of lost it a little bit after that. Twilight looks like he's losing it a bit. Well, yes, he is. He's going onto the grass. Sideways he goes, all the way around and into the gravel. Looking at Bunsell, should we mention that it was put to Bunsell this week that the question was, why have you got poos on the side of your car? And he said, I haven't. Yes, you have. No, I haven't. Yes, you have. And then he realised, he goes, no, it's not poos. But yeah, it is poos. You gotta love our guys.
Yeah, how long it took for him to realise that's what everybody was thinking.
Yeah.
But we thought it was because of his job.
It was a big job, working with Dawson, being a bit of a shoveling a bit of the manure, as some would put it. What he is shoveling at the moment is Gary, though. He's pushing him forward a little bit. Bunsell does like a bit of a bump draft. Gary side by side with Hay. They would have got through, though. And Conrad's caught up to Dave as well.
Yep. Conrad looking to take a wider line. Is he going for a switchback? No, he just couldn't get it there. Get SRI on the back of Gary and Hay here.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to
this is going to be fun.
Gary's moved across in front of Hay, and Dave and Connor are side by side as well, I believe. Yes, they are. Dave's got to the inside. Rich taking it, matey. That's the second time I think Dave's got lucky at that corner.
No.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of being reset on these games, but if there was ever a place you want it to happen, it's there, because at least people can take evasive and not end up wiping people out. But at the same time, I like to see a big crash.
Yeah, I bet you Dave was doing his wee cross thing and kissing his backside there.
Well, he nearly was able to kiss Richard's backside the way Rich was going in there. Jason's caught up to the back of SGP now. Jason showing a little bit of pace around here. Dave was, a little bit deep in the hairpin on Connor there. I think that may have been a little bit late, or as some people like to say, it was it a dollar?
Making an entrance.
Ooh, he's off now though. Oh dear. I'd say was something about a dollar late and a dollar short or something. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember the saying. A day late and a dollar short. That's it. Yeah.
It's getting quite close in that back cam as we switch over. Are
Oh, we're having a look. Oh, well, it looks like the pack cam's sort of focusing on the leading pack at the moment. With SRI, it's got Gary and Connor right behind him. So yeah, SGP's right at the back of Steve F1, but there's plenty of action going on in the pack here as Connor got a little bit wobbly. SRI manages to just about give Conrad the space. SGP hasn't attacked Steve F1. The Steve friends working together maybe as Conrad and SRI still side by side. Here comes Gary. Oh, Conrad, SRI's just absolutely punted Connor to two wheels on the grass.
no comment. I believe it to the stewards.
Yeah.
Hey, late on the brakes.
Yeah, he took a bit of evasive there. I mean, that's one thing if you do mess it up. If you can take evasive, it will be of benefit to you. Better that than absolutely nailing someone that isn't the wife.
Well,
I tell you what.
It's a boyfriend.
Okay, yeah, some people prefer that. Personally, though, I gave my wife a glue stick instead of lipstick by accident. She still isn't talking to me.
Okay. You don't even have a wife.
I know. But even if I'd have said my girlfriend, you don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a boyfriend either. I'm not that way inclined. I don't need the hassle. Okay, so what have we got then? Connor trying to, I was going to say close in on SRI, but he's gone deep. Gary's gone for a lovely move. Something we may, we're looking at that on the pack cam as well. Something we may want to sort of quickly touch on if we can, Ray, and I don't mean that, is last week we talked about how good the racing was last week, and that always comes with the risk of it going completely the opposite way this week.
Yeah, but it seemed okay so far. There's not been much happening. SGPs are going to go for a move after the hairpin, or is he going to wait for the straight, the slipstream on the straight? Oh, somebody's in the pits. Is that Steve F1?
I think it is, yes. It is. Okay, so Steve F1 diving in the pits early. We've got SRI going for the pits as well, and Rich Blues and Bunsell. But Rich Blues got sideways. I think Bunsell may have just got past him in the pit lane. I think Rich was a very lucky boy there.
As we see here on side by side with Gary into turn one, is he going to get it slowed down enough? See.
It looks like it.
Looks like it, yeah.
Unless Gary's disappeared. Oh no, he's there. Yes, got it slowed down nicely. I tell you, that's a very early pit. Well, I say very early pit stop. Steve F1 has pit. Jason had pitted the lap before, I think. Oh, hey, making the move on Gary. He's gone a bit deep. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I've just seen that. Jason's down in 7th when he was up battling at the front.
Yeah, so I was so busy making a joke, we missed the fact that Jason had pitted. There is Jason in the background, catching up to Hay and Gary. So we saw this with Jason in Brazil, I think it was. Pitted after about 10 minutes and then went to the end. So maybe he's thought about doing the same. Steve F1 has reacted to that, so Jason has jumped Steve F1, and it would appear that there's another 4 or 5 guys that have thought, you know what, I'm going to go in the pits as well. So Steve F1 probably doesn't get as much boost now as Jason did for a lap, but Jason is now closing in on the back of Hay, and Gary Hay's gone wide. I don't know if Gary's followed him. Jason, he's gone through a chicane to find another chicane made of Harry and Gay. Oh, hang on.
What?
That was a genuine mistake.
Oh no. We see Jason coming up to the chicane. Is it Vidal? Is that the name of the chicane?
It might be, yeah, Vidal chicane. Yeah, I really don't care. That is easily the funniest thing I've ever said on commentary.
In the pits, there's Steve F1 on Gary, and look how far he is behind Jason. He's going to have to get Gary's defending. How far is he going to defend?
Well, hopefully.
Right to the line?
Yeah, all the way to the end, hopefully. Gary!
Gary!
It unlucky there. He caught a little bit too much of the inside curve, and it's so easily done. Steve F1 will be thanking him for that one. But Steve F1 will be knowing that Jason has jumped him, and he'll probably know that Jason's going to go to the end. Interestingly, though, Demon R and SGP haven't pitted. Dave the Harp has not pitted. Conrad, I don't believe, has pitted. So, yeah, this could work out massively well for Steve F1 and Jason and anyone else that's just pitted, actually, because this track is... Oh, Gary's got a big sideways moment there into the right-hander. Yeah, CSGP coming out of the exit of the hairpin. But this track is an absolute tyre killer.
Yeah, so it's even the pity 10 minutes, and are they still going to get to them? Would they best not let their tyres go a wee bit longer and then pack? Because 10 minutes and then they've got to do a 30-minute stint? It could be tricky.
It could be, but I suppose if you're going to go... Oh, hang on a minute, you've got Demon R's ghosted.
Halloween was last week, was it not?
It may
or
well...
the week before?
Well, SGP has taken the lead. Definitely, Demon R is now not ghosted, so something must have happened down that back straight. That has resulted in a change of lead. So SGP championship leader now leading the race. We'll have to find out what was going on there.
Oh, Dave the Harp in the pits.
Okay, so Dave has obviously seen Steve F1 and Jason pit recently. The problem for Dave, though, is I think he's going to come out much further back and behind cars that have recently pitted. But like you said, Ray, maybe that'll benefit him later on because he's now got a shorter stint than the likes of Steve F1 and Jason. Gary side by side with Twilight, with Fluffy ahead of them. Gary up the inside, Twilight around the outside. Ooh, I was going to say 3 into 1 don't mix, but actually...
but Gary's... For Twilight was going to get Gary there, he was still battling through the couple of corners here. So...
There he is, I'm looking at the pack cam as well. Jason caught up to Conrad, and Conrad is in 3rd place. Jason's absolutely flying. Looking at the main screen though, yeah, Gary's still attacking Twilight. I mean...
Twilight got the move done then, but it took him a couple of corners, so...
Oh, I saw Steve F1 go a little bit wide. I can't remember what that right hand was called, but personally, the left and right hander before this... Oh, Jason! Bit deep into Conrad. Yeah, may have helped him a little bit wide there. But now Jason into 3rd. Looking at his lap times, yes, so he's had 3 laps of a ton of boost. With the last lap being a 1:59, he's got fresh tyres and he can kind of see his targets ahead. Twilight Gary still going. In comes SRI, the wee mad Scotsman.
Oh, they're getting side by side a wee bit physical there, but they're all still facing the same direction. Oh, SRI's gone for a switchback, but he's going to be on the outside line for the chicane up here.
Yeah, 3 wide. Gary trying to give him room and manages to get ahead. I think SRI may have just done a little bit of a lift through that kink. To be fair, I'm not surprised. 3 wide, it's a bit tricky, and probably, as you were saying, Ray, realised he was going to be in the not best position for that corner.
He just took 2 of them.
Oh, you're absolutely right, he has. See, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Sometimes go slower is faster, but now he's being overtaken by Gary and Twilight.
And he's on the outside again.
Yep, what a move! It's not a move. Oh, as we're looking at Steve F1 catch up to the back of Conrad as well and on the pack cam. Oh, Twilight just had a big swapper on there. That's allowed Gary to close in a little bit. Steve F1 closing in on Conrad. Where is Jason? Where is Jason? He's just ahead of them, isn't he? So he's still got a bit of a gap to Steve F1, but I'm wondering what the gap is for... Oh! Zach Conrad with a big sideways moment. That may have just let Steve F1 attack. Yes, it has. Side by side, there you go.
Oh, Steve F1, is he looking to do a switchback somewhere? Or is he lining up to get a better drive out?
That corner there.
Yeah, I don't know where we are. I'm trying to look at track pattern.
Heading down to
the hairpin.
Yeah. Connor,
but he's on the outside line now, so...
Well, looks like they're just about giving each other enough room. Steve F1 maybe a little edged towards the curb. Connor trying to give the room, stays ahead just Well, I think he just dipped a wheel into the gravel in the Schumacher. Rest is nothing like getting your knees a bit gravelly through there. Steve F1 up the inside now, though, into the left-hander. O'Connor just concedes that position. No, he doesn't.
No.
He's coming right back in there.
Wow, some great racing here.
Absolutely, Steve.
I would hope so with a free-wheel champ.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, Fluffy, he's caught right up to these guys now, and he's bringing a few with him. As Conrad and Steve F1 still side by side, heading into the chicane. Fluffy gives Steve a little bit of a nudge there, but Conrad is through and heading to the pits. Is he? Yes, he is. So I bet Steve F1 is going, why didn't you do that a lap ago?
Yeah, why didn't you just let me pass?
Aye.
As we see Twilight and Fluffy and Gary and SRI. Twilight, he's coming back in for the slipstream.
You know what?
I don't know, would that help him being that close to him?
I don't know. I think for Steve F1, he's not been helped much at all. It's Twilight and Fluffy. I mean, I think Twilight was a little bit too close. It's Twilight struggling with the exit of turn 1, though. So it doesn't really matter what's happening down the main straight. His exit in turn 1 is getting sideways, and it's compromising him then through the whole of this section. His tyres will be hot. They won't want to be gripping. David Harp's now catching up to Gary and SRI. And looking at the back cam, that's looking at SGP race leader and Demon R, who has managed to close the gap back in on him.
Yeah, he's getting closer.
Oh, he's getting really
He's
close.
really close there. Let's see once they accelerate away. Yeah, he's getting.
Let's see.
Well, I think Dave the Harp got a SRI there in the background. No,
Gary's trying. Yeah, Gary really is trying the move on SRI. Gary's been driving quite nicely recently, as David Harp hasn't really got anywhere to go. He's got Hay behind him as well. Gary giving SRI the space. What a move round the outside. But is SRI just setting him up for the left-hander here into the right-hander? No, not what you can do about it. And I am hearing that the reason Demon R was ghosted was because there was an audio issue where he couldn't hear what was going on, so he had to disconnect his head and reconnect it, and it cost him 4 seconds. It cost him the lead of the race. And that's all right. Gary and Dave the Harp almost all side by side.
Yep, as we see Dave the Harp, SRI side by side. Oh, a wee bit of contact. Oh, what happened there?
I think
SRI's
just disconnected his head. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to know exactly what happened there. It looked like Gary was taking the corner on a normal sort of line, and Dave and SRI side by side and taking a slightly different angle of attack. Dave got a bit of a run now on Gary. Gary going defensive. Twilight ahead. Hay on the outside. Can't turn in, Hay. There's a car there, and Dave can't turn in because the goal, Gary.
Oh, Gary again.
Oh dear. That's the problem with that really tight line, though, isn't it? We've seen it so many times.
It's like when the road just drops at that corner, doesn't it, as well? So you lose grip on your inside tyre, and then as soon as you hit that throttle and it's spinning in the air and then it catches,
GP.
I think he's letting Demon R through, saying, like, you must have technical issues, I want to do this fair and square.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a bit odd. Look at the pack. We'll just take them in the distance. Yeah, there they are. There's half of it. Yeah, it was definitely an odd situation. It was not like SGP was out of control or anything. It looked like he definitely sort of moved over. But that, I suppose, kind of begs the question as we're looking at Hay in a bit of a Twilight Ridge sandwich. I mean, did he have to?
I wonder if the two spoke on to the teams to say, look, when he gets closer, I'll let him back through since he's having technical difficulties.
Maybe. We'll see if we can find out. SGP, though, it's still right there behind Demon R, but...
He's caught a lot in that chicane there.
Yeah.
He's gave him a wee bum draft.
Twilight, that's wide. That's one of the difficulties when you're 3 wide and you're trying to give room. It's so easy to do that. Hay making the move. Twilight and Bunsell side by side. I've got itchy nose. I might sneeze.
Alright. Bunsell seems, has he got past Twilight? Yes, it has. So there's Conrad that was fighting up front. He must have pitted and he's back down behind Rich Blues there.
I think you're absolutely
That's
right.
a lot. That's a lot of time.
Twilight's gone in there a little bit hot, I think. Yes, he has, definitely, and I think he may have taken Hay with him. Conrad getting a little bit twitchy on at the exit. I'm sorry if you can hear I'm just squeezing a piece of phone while I'm talking. It's very calming. What I was going to say, though, Dave is kind of like, not necessarily the cork in the bottle, is the cork that's just peeking out of the bottle at the moment. Fluffy's got a bit of a gap to Dave, but what I'm interested in, Ray, is the gap between the leading two and Jason, because the leading two going through the hairpin now, and Jason going into the hairpin now, so that gap is not huge, and Jason's on fresher tyres. This could get interesting, because there isn't anybody pressuring Jason at the moment.
Yeah, he's just on a pace of his own, isn't he? Just managing that, trying to manage that gap as best as he can.
Yep.
Like, Fluffy's not really getting to as well, so...
Same with Steve F1, yeah. Steve F1's kind of in a bit of no man's land as well as Conrad closing in on Dave Hop. I think he may have just burnt his tyres up a little bit with the amount of steering angle he had on there. Oh yeah, look, he's got a lot of steering lock on, but the car's not turning for him. And Conrad's got a run on him now as Demon R has opened up the gap to SGP on the back cam. And Conrad, he's got to go for this, surely. He's got to run. I think he may have fresher tyres up the inside. Hard on brakes he goes. Slots up the inside. Dave the Harp will get swobbly on the exit, but a nice bit of driving from the pair of them there.
Yep, and Dave the Harp's still going. We've got a hit.
Twilight!
Is he okay? He knows to turn right there at the pits, doesn't he?
Well, you know what? We saw Richmond trying to make a move on Dave the Harp. Richmond loves this at the moment. In the battle with the likes of Dave and Connor as Bunsell and Twilight right behind them. Yeah, we saw a few people struggling with the pit entry at Le Mans. I don't know whether Twilight was struggling a bit there as he's trying to make the move around the outside of Bunsell and Rich at the same time. I don't think that'll work.
Yeah, the new camera angles we're getting here. As yeah, I wonder if his team went come in, and then go, no, stay out.
Maybe.
So,
it was very similar to Hamilton at, I was going to say Nurburgring, but Hockenheimring a year or two ago. Pat Cam's looking at Jason at the moment. I think it's actually doing a little bit of a run through, to be fair, sort of showing the gaps. SGP still there with Demon R. Rich Blues perhaps a little early on the brakes for Twilight. That caught Twilight out, and then he was nudged a bit by Bunsell. But everybody survives, fights to live another day. No, lives to fight another day. I will get. I tell you, I might as well do.
I'm the one that's supposed to bail when you can't get your words.
I thought someone was going in the pits, but they're not actually anywhere near the pit lane at the moment.
I thought that as well, the way it darted as Arai gets past Bunsell, I think that was.
Yes, he has. Went for a nice little move up the inside. Twilight's got a little bit of a run on Dave here. But Dave, is he going to go defensive? No, he feels he's far enough ahead. And to be fair, he is just about. So they all made their way through the chicane. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see people pit in. Dave's in the pits. Twilight. He's going for the pit lane.
Turn right.
Turn up.
What are you doing? Is that the new racetrack? Would nobody else get the memo about?
You know what? It might be. Maybe he's now on the attack, making the move on SRI. Well, I'll tell you what. If Twilight is wanting the pits because his tyres are dying, it's only getting worse for him at the moment. Just having a quick look on the pack cam at SGP. Can't see Jason in view yet, but Jason is definitely closing that gap.
You can just see him at the back there, at the corner, see him.
Oh yeah, can now, with a slightly longer bit of track. He's definitely in view. Bunsell on the back of Twilight. I'd be honest, I think now, if you were anywhere near Twilight, you don't want to be in front of him at pit entry. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to go in there again. I mean, I can only guess that he's struggling to get the car slowed down. and make the corner into the pit end. Otherwise, it's taking a new line.
Yeah. 2 seconds I had a lump in my throat.
I've got to stop. I've got a lump in my I've heard there's a Jimmy Carr version of that. I've got to stop.
Oh, no, I don't want to know.
Okay, SGP is definitely being closed in by Jason. Steve F1, is he closing in as well? I think he might be. There's definitely a group of 4 at the front and then a gap to Conrad in 5th. What's the gap like to SRI? It's not big. It's not a big gap. Oh, Butzel got a little bit wobbly on the curb there.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be seeing Twilight, but not me there. Yeah.
Where's that pit alarm?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Can he get it slowed down? Yeah!
Yeah.
Success. Well done, Twilight. He'll be sat there thinking, I wish they hadn't got that. I hope they didn't see my pit entries. Unfortunately for Twilight, though, that is going to cost him a lot of positions and quite a lot of time because he wanted to pit 3 laps ago. And it's, going to have cost him a lot. Jason's on the back of SGP.
Yeah, he's closed right up.
That he has. Okay, look at Jason's lap times. 1 minute 59, 2 minutes. Low and mid 2 minutes. That is very, very fast towards the end of the race. For a set of tyres that haven't stopped, you'd be expecting 201s, 202s, maybe 203s in the last
Jason
lap.
not stopped?
Jason
has stopped.
He has stopped. No. I'm just making the point that Jason is currently potentially up to 1.5 seconds faster. Yeah, see, and SGP had a problem somewhere. He had a 2 minute 4 lap time. Oh, Conrad's off at the hairpin. Yes, it is, and SRI comes through, and so does Gary. Oh, Bunzel may make it as well. I don't know if Conrad was. Oh no, he might have been assisted.
SGP looked as if he was struggling in the corner there. He looked Jason's keeping it a tighter line compared to the SGP.
Well,
so I don't know. SGP must be struggling now.
I'm thinking he may be struggling with his tyres, and Conrad's gone a little bit wide as well. I mean, taking your tyres all the way to the end of the race, it's not easy around here because. Yeah, SGP's definitely struggling looking at the pack cap. Bunzel got to run on Conrad here. But yeah, it's very easy to mistake overheated tyres for dead tyres. But it's also Gary making the move on Conrad. No, the other way round. Hey,
where did he come from?
Yeah. Oh, Bunzel, you got a pit. There's a car there. I think he realised. It's like going for... Oh, I thought he was going to do a Twilight. Okay, Dave Harp's down in 11th. He pitted recently, didn't he? Yes. But he's right on the back of the pack.
Yeah. As long as he can get through, he might get on the back of them. He just needs to try and get through.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Jason looks like he is slowly opening up that gap to SGP, and if he's got the benefit of fresher tyres, it's going to be the middle sector where he's really going to gain.
And somebody watch out for Steve F1, he pitted as well.
Well, yeah.
So,
it's a good point that Conrad right in the thick of the action once again, and I mentioned that Dave the Hart was closing in on the pack, and he is. Hey, covering him off just about into the left-hander. Yeah, 2 of my favourite corners, these.
They're alright. I'm not a big fan of them.
Do you know what I am a fan of? Oh, Dave the Hart going for a move around. It's going to be around the outside, but he's late. Oh, too late on the brakes. Oh, slides across the track, collects Conrad. It wasn't a big hit, but it was enough to,
Where have you gone here?
I think his steering might be broke.
Yeah.
Unless, well, maybe he was letting Connor through.
But he was sliding back on at the Schumacher S's. I could just hopefully never collected him there.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, I would say he definitely did go into the hairpin a bit too hot. And yeah, I mean, when you're sliding across the track almost to the other side of the track, you definitely... Oh, Gary, careful when you look in your mirrors. Do it on a straight, not on the end of a corner. Fluffy having a look at Dave, but Dave's covering him off. Conrad, right on the outside of Fluffy, sneaky, cheeky. Oh, lovely move. Oh, I thought he was going to pit. Did you imagine make that move and then pit?
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Dave's got to run on Gary here. Maybe, maybe a little bit too close, but clearly Dave wants the inside line down at turn 1. To be honest, I think if I was Dave, I'd have made Gary take that inside line because Gary's had a couple of moments there. Dave's weaving or wiggling, under braking. He's gone deep. Gary goes for the switchback, but Connor's there and Fluffy's there. Oh, I tell you what, Dave, what a lucky boy there.
Yeah, he got. Oh, he was like, oh no, with that one because that was quite sliding in the back end when he was hitting the brakes hard.
I tell you what, I think if Fluffy and Connor hadn't have been there, I reckon Gary may have got the move done on him. Keeping an eye on the pack cam as well, seeing that Steve F1 is catching up to SGP as Dave the Harp is under a lot of pressure here at the moment, and something to think about is that we'll see if Dave would be capable of being a deep sea diver. You have to be able to cope with working under pressure. I thought I like the way I set these up without any practice. But anyway, so yeah, pack cam, SGP.
I bet you do practice in front of the mirror. Like, I've just seen Hay dive out.
Oh, just seen Dave dive in.
Hay, sorry, not Dave. Hay dived out the way. I don't know what went on.
I tell you what is interesting here, Ray, is that SRI has managed to get away from the pack here. I don't know if he's catching up to Steve F1 and SGP, but he's definitely close. Oh, Hayes hit the back of Connor. Oh, disaster. Oh, yeah, big disaster for Conrad. That I think Hay was waiting for him and got reset himself, but yeah, Connor will not be best pleased about that, especially with only 5 minutes to go.
We've seen a couple of late break-ins from here there to today in the race at the hairpin. Sorry, and then.
Sorry, I was looking at the main camera and then I just saw the pack cam. Steve F1 is on the back of SGP. The pack cam is bonkers with the pack. That's Twilight and Fluffy, I think it is. But I think SGP has just had another very difficult lap because Steve F1 has gone from being a couple of seconds behind him to on him.
Yeah. What's he going to do? Is he going to pick his moment before he makes his move? How would you set yourself up if you're...
Dive bomb.
Dive bomb.
No, to be honest, if you've got the fresher tyres, around here, this corner, crucial. Be close here to put pressure through the Schumacher S's, and then the next left and the next right, but it's all about the right-hander onto the back straight. So it's these corners now. The Steve F1, yeah, you see, he's having a look, get SGP looking, see if he can get him to miss an apex or run wide. Now get really close. Focus on your own turning. Lovely tight corner there for Steve F1. Got the run. This is move done.
Well, it depends how much SGP fights back on hairpin. The chicane,
Yep.
not the hairpin, but that's the hairpin.
Well, Steve F1's got the tyres to break that a little bit later. SGP struggling with the tyres. He's got, three and a bit minutes to go. And you know what, Ray? Looking at the pack cam, on the back of Demon R, is Jason coming into view? Is Jason going to catch up to Demon R?
Oh, time will tell. Time will tell. We've seen SGP try to put the power down out the last corner, and his car was just sliding.
I tell you what, I know the Twilight's attacking Fluffy, but I'm looking at the pack cam. Jason is really closing in, and I mentioned earlier that if someone is on old tyres, it's in the middle sector where someone on fresher tyres will gain the most. Twilight, Fluffy, Rich Blue, side by side. I'm trying to watch that action while also watching.
Watching Jason.
Yeah, Fluffy stays ahead. Jason is so much more confident with the tyres. Oh, Twilight, so much more confident of nudging Fluffy out of the way, although he is making sure that Fluffy holds on to the position, and then Rio overtakes him by the looks of it. Just have a look at Demon R and Oh, look
Well,
at
it's
how...
very close.
Yeah.
That is very close.
Well,
As we
Jason's
see,
really closed it up into the hairpin.
Twilight losing to Gary on that left-right corner that you like.
Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Great, mate. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah, nah, yeah. Oh, okay, Gary, Fluffy, Twilight still battling, but look at Jason. He's right on the back of him. You asked where Steve F1 should attack. Jason, I think, is in that position now as well as we switch them to the main screen. Yeah, he's on the back of Demon R. How long we got left? A minute and a half. No, 2 minutes. So there's going to be another lap after this one. I don't know if there'll be... No, there won't be 2 laps. Demon R goes defensive. Jason doesn't go for it. Is he biding his time for the final lap? Ooh, Demon R sideways a bit there.
Demon R hasn't pitted, so his tyres will be feeling it.
That they definitely will. And to be honest, if you're Jason... Yeah, you could go for the move here down into turn 1, but if you do it and get it wrong, disaster. Maybe better off waiting till the end of the lap where Demon R won't have time to attack. Jason's looking but not going for it. Perhaps just trying to get Demon R slightly offline. I'll tell you what's here. We've got Jason here on camera. Obviously, the only Swede in the league is closing in again on the back of Demon R. This definitely is where Jason has got much more grip. And it really shows. But yeah, Jason being the only Swede in the league. Sometimes we make jokes about IKEA and stuff like that. But I just want to mention that the CEO of IKEA was elected to be the Prime Minister of Sweden this week. Yeah, he's currently assembling his cabinet. I think I'm going to go fishing because I just caught a big one.
Well, as we see Jason down into the hairpin, can he get a drive out?
Well, he's going to want a good exit here, but he's on the go sideways. Oh, Jason, he must have heard my joke. He must have gone, is there a new Prime Minister? Oh, that question is, where's Steve F1? Where's Steve F1 and where is Steve? Oh, Jason's sliding. Oh, you know he'd be kicking himself if he could.
Yeah, he'd only get more meatballs.
I think Demon R might be safe, he's got a couple of corners. I think he'll be breathing a huge sigh of relief. Jason, he's got a gap. Where's Jason? Steve F1 is not far behind him.
And SGP's not far behind Steve F1 by the looks of it. As we see this pack, there's Dave the Harp, he's been just staying ahead of this pack.
Yeah, he's just ahead of Fluffy as we're seeing Demon R go around the final corner. And you know what, Ray, something I haven't talked about is what this could do to the championship standings. Demon R looks delighted. He'll be relieved. It is a win in Nurburgring. Jason, what could have been? It's a great second place, but it should have been a win, really. Steve F1 will take third place. SGP fourth. SRI, bloody hell, he's going to finish in fifth. But Dave the Harp holds on for sixth, just ahead of Fluffy. Rich Blues in eighth. No surprise. Eighth place.
Yeah, it's not reverse eighth place, Rich.
No, it's just eighth place. I bet he's in eighth place on the standings as well. Yeah, maybe a couple of a difficult race for a couple of drivers there. Hey, we saw we had the big crash with Conrad in the last stages. Bit unlucky, but unfortunately it can happen. But Conrad won't be consoled by that, unfortunately, as he crosses the line. But I've got to say, what a race. I feel for Jason. He had it.
Yeah, I mean, he had the better tyres. Just shows you putting it on the curb and hitting the throttle at the wrong time, what it's going to do.
The thing is as well, I can pretty much guarantee every single one of the drivers at some point has spun there like that. Unfortunately for Jason, it was in a situation where, I mean, when I was talking about Steve F1 catching up to SGP, I mentioned that the exit of that corner was crucial because that's how you then are close at the top of the hill. And Jason was so unfortunate. He was going for that better exit. That's what was going to set him up for the attack down the back straight. And disaster, And I mean, I wouldn't normally say disaster, but considering that it should have been the win, it was disaster, which is why I think it's a bit mean that Demonara has got the race winner's picture that he has, the mean boy. But yeah, I've got to say though, Ray, again, some great racing out there.
Oh yeah, great side-by-side racing. I was enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely, it really was. I was gonna say I'm out of breath. I'm actually tired from watching that race. It was a non-stop race. It was really good action. I really liked it. I don't really know what to say about that. Other than actually, I said I was going to mention after the race, because of SGP finishing in fourth and Steve F1 finishing third. Demonar taking the win, that may have just tightened things up a little bit at the top in the standings, because SGP leading, Steve F1 was second, Demonar was third, so that gap has just got a little bit tighter with 2 races to go. I don't know exactly how tight just yet. We'll find out when we confirm the standings, but it's definitely got tighter. SRI's had a good race there, though, finishing in 5th place. But I want to highlight... well, you know what? Maybe it's time to take a little journey into
the G spot.
Yes, I was waiting for that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The reason I say that...
Sure what you were doing.
Well, to be fair, I don't really know what to talk about in that race. Normally we'd say, oh, he's done well and he's done well. I think everyone's done well there. I mean, we saw a few crashes. I think there's a few occasions where Hay was perhaps a little too eager on the... Not eager, because that means early. A bit too late on the brakes, unfortunately. I mean, it's one of the things in DGT we do say... The aim is to not be making contact with other cars. So we do need to see people trying to reduce that as much as possible. But at the same time, I suppose, I mean, we know the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, Ray. Sometimes you can have a car in front of you and there's a gap and you think, I can get in that gap. And you might be able to get in that gap. But you've got to be able to stay in that gap by the apex curb and not hit the car that's next to you. As soon as you start sliding across the road, that's the sign that you've gone in there a bit too fast and you're not in control of the car anymore.
Yeah. Sorry.
Taking a drink.
Yeah, that's my throat. Yeah, I got to try and get into that gap safely and not wipe somebody out, like you say. Well, and never really wipe somebody out, push them wide. But
well, he did wipe Connor out towards the end.
Yeah, I was towards
yeah.
I was talking about the hairpin.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, the heavier car, I think that's just, well, it was unfortunate. Hay was braking later than the cars around him, and it resulted in him hitting someone. But it's one of those things where, I suppose the saying goes, you can't brake. Okay, you may be able to brake later than the other cars, but you can't if it means that you're going to hit them. That isn't how exactly I wanted to say it, but that is what I mean. You can't just ignore the fact that there's cars. I'm not saying that he is ignoring the fact that there's cars around him, but it's one of those things. Yeah, you may be able to brake at 100 meters, but if you've got 2, 3, 4 cars in front of you, if you brake at 100 meters, chances are you're smashing them. You've got to brake that bit earlier. But also, as you go on through the races and the tyres wear, I mean, unfortunately, this is one of the things for the guys that are pitting 1 or 2 or 3 times in the races. What they're not experiencing is the bigger drop off of tyre wear that is showing them how early they really need to be braking. Because, for example, if Demon R or SGP was braking as late as Hay was in the hairpin, they're not making it to the end of the race without pitting. But not only that, they wouldn't be making it to the end of the race without going off the track. Because if they continuously were to try and brake at that point with the worn tyres, they're going way off track. The car just won't start for them. So, yeah. I mean, it might sound like I'm bashing Hay at the moment. I'm not. I'm just sort of emphasising that, Although you may think you can brake later, you have to think, am I already too far behind to attack that car in front of me? Because I know when doing stewarding, one of the first things I personally look at is the car close enough to attempt an overtake fairly? And if the answer is no, then whatever happens at the corner is pretty much that driver's fault. Because if you're way too far back and you chuck it up the inside into a corner and the other guy turns in on you, exactly, dive bomb. And if you're on the inside and you go, well, he turned in on me, yeah, but you shouldn't have been there. You've got there unfairly. So I would always try and sort of say to people to be thinking about these things as they're heading towards a braking zone. Am I close enough to attack the car in front? Now, you may think the answer is yes. We'll let you know if it's rotten, if it's not. But,
respect.
Yeah. What I will say though is, I mean, we took the piss a bit about Gary a little bit at the start of this championship, and obviously there's the G spot.
Yeah, but it's only been once he's been in it.
Yeah. To be fair, Gary has done extremely well this championship since we had a conversation with him, and it wasn't like a you're a naughty boy conversation. It was let's see if there's things that we're missing or you're not aware that's happening and stuff like that, and just to raise awareness for him and others. And I think he's been enjoying his racing a lot more because of it, actually, because he is getting involved in a lot less, which I think is really good. But what we perhaps should talk about in the G-Spot is pit entries.
Yeah. I don't know what was going through Twilight's mind there, or what his radio chatter or what, but how many attempts was it?
I think he got in on the third. It would be interesting to get Twilight's opinion of what was happening.
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah, I think I have half an idea. Excuse me. It is possible that he was caught out by the fact that the game doesn't take over the pit entry until you've actually got around the corner a bit.
Yeah.
So it's possible it's like a bit like at Le Mans. Jimmy didn't realise that you had to slow the car down a bit, go around the first bit of corners before it ought. So he's gone in there flat out and ended up head on into the wall and then spinning around in the wrong direction. So it could be a similar thing where Twilight's gone in there thinking it's going to auto drive down the pit lane, and it hasn't. Now, the first time would have been a shock for him. The second time, he would have, I would guess, gone through there a little bit more cautiously, but unfortunately still got it a bit wrong. My question to you, though, Ray, would be, would he deserve a penalty for it if somebody reported him?
Did he gain an advantage? I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did either.
3 times, and but
yeah,
I thought it was a wee bit funny, but it'd be nice to see what Twilight's view was. Well, it won't be a funny view for him.
No, that is true.
But I don't think he gained advantage because he had to take twice that he missed, and then the third one, plus his tyres as well. Like, his tyres must have been damaged. So.
Well, that's the thing. If he was pitting because he wanted fresh tyres. He's ended up having to do another 2 laps, 3 laps, whatever it is. Something we'll mention now, though, just in case anybody hasn't remembered or isn't aware, there can be occasions where you may attempt to enter a pit lane, but the game resets you on the track, or you've sort of part ended up in the pit lane, but you've ended up driving back onto the track because of a crash or whatever. But basically, you don't end up in the pit lane. Quite often, if you then continue on round the lap and then try and come back into the pit straight away, it will not let you pit. You have to complete a full lap before it will let you pit. So I'm mentioning that because it is something that can be easily forgotten. And I mean, that would have been I think Jason had it once. I think he needed fuel as well on one of them.
Imagine if fuel was on as well in Twilight.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if there'd been fuel on in the practice sessions, or in what he may have practiced going in the pits and may have known. But fuel would have been on hold. Yeah, have that twice and then a slow lap because you're out of fuel.
Yeah.
I could have understood turning the car off on that one. And although we're making a bit of a joke about it, we are. I feel for Twilight. Please don't feel like we're laughing at you. We're laughing with you, and if you're not laughing, that's why we're making a joke out of it. So that hopefully you see the funny side. Talking of funny sides, knock knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
Do you?
Play the game, Raymond.
I eat mop. Who?
You dirty bastard.
I eat mop. Who? Oh, the way it sounds. I'm so childish.
Oh, I like that one. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
Any more before we switch over to? Is there anything else to talk about in the G spot?
I don't know. What track is next? Or Brands Hatch?
Oh, Steve Flames.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Steve F1's favourite track. It's a track that a lot of people may not like in the Ferrari, or in any car.
Slidey.
Yeah.
Well, gotta make sure you get it slowed down for the
first corner.
Turn 1, up at the top of the hill. 3.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I did do a few laps the other day though, and the car does actually handle quite nicely around there. But yeah, I think if people are...
I think it's more going to be the last sector, see the double right-handers.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think if people push too hard, go too fast into the first corner, and overheat their tyres or end up with them dirty, that's going to ruin them for the rest of the lap, and it'll just get worse and worse and worse. I could only highly recommend making sure you slow down with plenty of time for turn 1 and the final corner. If you can do that, you've got a chance everywhere else. If you do end up going off everywhere else, be extra cautious through the corners because, I mean, I mentioned we did a few laps. I think it is very easy around that track to have an off, lose 20 seconds, and then have another off 2-3 corners later. So, yeah, caution is definitely on the cards, I reckon.
Yeah, do you think MD get lapped with if people are pitting, do you think?
I don't know, because I think if people are pitting and people aren't pitting, I think those that aren't pitting are not going to be going fast enough to catch the pack. It would take someone to spin 2 or 3 times on a lap and pit. So I suppose it could happen. And what I would say is if anybody does find themselves in that situation, don't give up, keep going. Because even if you hate it this time, every lap you do is a lap learned. It's experience. And there's only way you get experience, and that's by doing it.
Yeah, something you've not done in a while.
Exactly. I was going to say, and I don't mean doing it. I mean doing the thing. Yeah. But I don't know. Right. Well, in a few moments we shall have a look at the confirmed race results and the championship standing. Very interesting to see how that one will have gone. But before I thank Ray for joining us on commentary, I just want to mention that Meatloaf has married his accountant girlfriend. She'll do anything for love, but she won't do that.
Oh, jeez.
These have been good ones today, I tell you.
Good ones for you.
Hey, it could be worse. A shopper fell into a display of 250 golf clubs yesterday. Doctors have said that he's okay, but he's not out of the woods yet. And on that bombshell, thank you, Ray, for joining us on commentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie down now.
Right, well, thank you to you, thank you to me, thank you to Harry and Gay for bringing the biggest laugh of the season. Yeah, let's have a look at what that result was.
How many names has he had, Gavin?
Oh, he's had loads. Yeah. Oh dear. It's typical though that the funniest thing I've said all season is something that was a mistake. But anyway, there we go. Right, let's have a look then at the Coppa race result and the championship standings. Demon R then taking the victory and the maximum 20 points, with Jason finishing in second place, Steve F1 third, SGP fourth, SRI fifth, Dave the Harp sixth, unfortunately with the 3-point penalty. Information of that is on the DGT Facebook page. Fluffy Planet 7th place, 8th place for Rich, Bunsel in 9th, Conrad 10th, Formula Gary 11th, Twilight 12th, and Hay in 13th place. Okay, so let's see what that's done to the standings then. And SGP still leading the way in first on 118 points. However, Steve F1 and Demon are now tied for second on 114 points, only 4 behind SGP. Jason's in fourth, got a bit of a gap to Fluffy in fifth, and 9 points back to Dave in 6th. Conrad is in 7th, with Rich Blues in 8th, SRI 9th, Bunsel 10th, Twilight 11th, Formula Gary 12th, Jimmy 13th, Art Pal 14th, Mitch and Hay now tied on 25 points for 15th place, and Tyler in 17th still on 10. So a lot to fight for. That 7th place really up for grabs. Can Dave the Harp catch Fluffy? Can the Steve or Demon R catch SGP to steal the title in the last couple of rounds? Round 8 being from Brands Hatch. We know it's Steve F1's hunting ground, but to be fair, Monza is SGP's hunting ground usually. Demon R's had no success at either of those tracks in Dynamic GT League, so we are definitely in for one hell of an end to this championship, but also for everybody down the grid, it's going to be hopefully one hell of an end to the championship. Okay, thank you very much for listening, for watching. Hit that like, subscribe if you want. Also, bash that notifications bell as if you're late on the brakes. Or you could just go, hi Harry. Have a good one everybody, and we'll see you all again soon.